Hello and welcome to your program of choice, Health Affair on AIT. It is a platform where we focus on public health issues, challenges of women and children, with the aim of providing lasting solutions. I am your regular anchor, Ushuomowa Daniels. Our focus this week is on persons living with autism, cerebral palsy, and Down syndrome. Let's begin the program with our new segment.
One passenger. Big auntie. Come and enter my bus now.
Hey, conductor, this cough is serious. I beg, you need to go to the hospital.
Hospital? Auntie, if I go hospital now with this cough, those people will just say I have COVID-19.
No, they won't. Doctors say cough symptoms are different in every condition. Some are dry, others are wet, like your own.
God bless you, auntie. I have told this my conductor. The cough has refused to go, and it could be tuberculosis.
Conductor, check am o. Make you dey sure, because who no go, no go, no.
Check that cough for tuberculosis.
Check am o, make you dey sure.
If your cough is more than 2 weeks, it could be tuberculosis. TB tests and TB treatment are free. Just call the National TB Hotline on 3340 for information on where to get the test. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Health with support from the American people.
In total, we have bought over 140 vehicles since I resumed. The last set now is the 73 vehicles, but we got 25 and then got another 20 or something, and then small, one here, one there, over the years. But it's not enough. Each state must have at least 3 vehicles. Each state must have at least 3 vehicles, 3 times 36, 108, plus FCT, 111. Then we have borders. We have seaports. We have investigation and enforcement. Federal Task Force is domiciled in NAFDAC. Is domiciled in the Investigation and Enforcement Directorate. We have about 85 policemen in NAFDAC under the C-34 Act. They need vehicles when we're going for raids and things like that. You cannot do that on Okada. So we are not even there yet, despite 140. We're not there yet. We can do the mathematics. Because why? We are a regulatory agency that is supposed to be inspecting all our regulated products so that our people's health can be safeguarded. We went through over 19 laboratories in India and China, and the ones that do not satisfy our listing or our specifications, we remove them. Some, 1 or 2 that we found fraudulent, we remove them. Since then, actually, to be specific, March of 2020, when the agreement was signed, we have stopped the shipment of over 80 products. We have stopped the shipment of over 80 products. NAFDAC is now known for tough CRIA permit to be able to get it. Few occasions they try to forge our permit, but we caught them because the Post Inspection Directorate is now digitalized. So that is how from that angle looking at it, is reducing substandard falsified medicines.
Medicine insecurity has been a major concern among players in the pharmaceutical sector in Nigeria due to heavy dependence on foreign countries for the nation's essential drug needs. This became even more glaring during the COVID-19 lockdown, when such countries had to satisfy their needs before helping others. This challenge will soon be over, going by revelations by the DG of the National Agency for Foods, Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, who disclosed that given the WHO Level 3 certification, Nigeria will be able to produce vaccines and other medicines that can be accepted globally.
The goal is to start manufacturing, but start manufacturing doesn't mean we're going to have a finished product. If it is breaking up the ground, yes. But it means that we are already working towards manufacturing of vaccine. The goal is to see that happening by the end of the year. Later, when we go to maturity level 4, it will foster trade, increase our GDP, reduce unemployment. So whichever way you look at it, the future is bright.
To ensure sustainability on progress made by the agency in the past few years, the Director General called for regular monitoring and institutionalization of quality control measures in relevant organizations.
It's also about system strengthening, institutionalizing what we call the quality management system in the agency, such that even after the exit of the current DG, the institution will outlive her, and even outlive all of us that are here as directors or top management. And that is also the beauty of that, institutionalizing, because one of the problems of Nigeria is issue about building system.
On the level of progress achieved on the fight against counterfeit medicines, the DG and our team advised Nigerians to be mindful where they buy their medicines.
You have to buy your product from where you have the best confidence. If it is too cheap to be true, very likely it is not true. So we also have to sensitize the public the more.
NAFDAC got the WHO certification about a month ago, a feat which she says is a motivation for the agency to strive for level 4 certification.
Nigerians have been advised to take advantage of the Stable Health Initiative that commenced on Wednesday, 13th April 2022. The target of the initiative is to deploy one free ambulance for every 100,000 people, as recommended by the World Health Organization (WHO) in underserved regions of the world, with Nigeria as the takeoff location.
It took me some time to accept to be part of this. Because when I read all the things about giving tithe, it was too good to be true. And I was wondering. But finally, when I got to know them better, got to know the programs, got to know all the facilities, I decided to be part of this. Nigeria needs facilities like this, and we need to support organizations like this. Most of the things are absolutely free. I mean, nobody is charging anybody anything. There are so many ambulances, and you can see that they are state-of-the-art ambulances, costing a lot of money. And these are the sort of things we need. And this is available to Lagosians. There are a few of them around, and we must support this organization to give us the service that we need in this country.
If you are registered, you can send email to info@awb.f. Just send info@awb.f, or you can come to the center at 31 Bode Thomas Street. So when you just send your details, you will get immediate response. So you register. As you register, you will be scheduled for the preventive aspect. So you are immediately getting a benefit, whether you have emergency or not. And the aim of the preventive aspect is to actually prevent you from having an emergency, because we don't pray for that. We know how costly it can be. It can cost the person's life. It can be very expensive. So, but we can prevent a lot of them. For instance, if you carry out your prevention and you find out that you have hypertension or you have diabetes, that can be controlled to prevent you from ending up with stroke, with coma and all that. So you will not need the emergency. But if you end up needing the emergency, then you can immediately gain access, because you already are in the system. You know how to reach out to the system, and the team already knows about you, so it's easy for you to get access.
The unique feature of the Stable Health Initiative is the combination of preventive and emergency coverage for all the registered beneficiaries, and will give them the following benefits: free health education, free annual cancer/general health screening, and free emergency ambulance service. The initiative, by Giving Tide International and Mass Medical Mission, is the first of its kind in Nigeria and is open to everyone. It was inaugurated on the 7th of April 2022 as part of activities to commemorate the 2022 World Health Day. Speakers used the opportunity to tax Nigerians on preventive health care.
Be careful with our lifestyle, exercise, sexual practice. We have to be very careful. A lot of diseases are sexually transmitted. You have HIV, you have hepatitis and all that. And even though cancer is not a disease that is transmissible, some of the risk factors for cancer are transmitted through sexual means. So all those things have to be taken care of. People have to take protective sexual practice, and also abstinence is very important to ensure that people live a healthy lifestyle. So today is to ensure that people take control of their health. How do you take control of your health? Do things that you can do that will help you.
Nigerian nurses as frontline workers have been exposed to a lot of dangers in the course of carrying out their duties, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic. This is not unconnected with the choice of theme, Nursing in Pandemic Times, Challenges and Implications, at the just concluded 21st Scientific Conference and Annual General Meeting of the West African Postgraduate College of Nurses and Midwives in Lagos.
Yeah. What are the lessons we've learned, and how can we prepare for the next pandemic or epidemic? Because another one will come. As long as men still live on this planet and decide not to work the way God would like them to work. So that is the reason for this conference, to understand how the nursing profession, the midwifery profession have been affected by the pandemic, and probably learn lessons they can apply in dealing with the next pandemic or epidemic.
We really salute the courage of the nurses who were in the forefront during the period of the pandemic.
I pray that the Lord Almighty will console the family members of nurses that we lost during the pandemic. But we also want to say that the pandemic is not yet over, but we want to say that nurses were badly affected during the pandemic. Nurses don't blow their trumpet. Nurses are not always in the media. Hence, the total number of nurses that died during the pandemic is not known to the public.
If you look at the numerical strength, and there's nowhere you work in the health sector you don't find a nurse. In medical, surgical, maternal and child health, community and public health, mental health, also in administration and academic environment. They are all there. So nurses are very fundamental to the health sector of the country.
First and foremost, we don't have enough hands to take care of the patient. The World Health Organization recommends that a nurse should take care of 4 patients. But in the situation now, in this country, we found out that we are taking care. A nurse is faced with a lot of patients. They are being overwhelmed with the patients. And mass exodus of nurses because of lack of recognition, bad remuneration, and the risks involved, and which is not being addressed.
I'm just appealing to our government. Actually, they tried in the last few years managing how to contain the pandemic, but they can do better. The government can do better in the area of provision of materials for health workers to use, in the areas of motivation. Like as fellows of Nigeria, fellows of West African College of Nursing, Nigerian chapter, we are the largest in the sub-region. Can you imagine this fellowship is not recognized in Nigeria? So we are appealing to Nigeria, we are appealing to our government, especially the federal government, that they should help us accept the fellowship certificate and recognize it so that we can be rewarded.
The event provided an opportunity to salute the courage of nurses and appreciate individuals who have done well in their various fields of endeavor.
Thank you to you in recognition of your research to the paper that you have presented. Thank you very much. On behalf of all the fellows in West Africa, it's my pleasure to present to you this token of appreciation to Mrs. Onwuama, Dr. Assistant Professor Mercy A.C. Onwuama. Congratulations.
New fellows were also admitted into the institution.
When you rush your loved one to the hospital for emergency, the way they will ignore you, the way they will talk to you, even the worst part of it, if you don't have money, just expect that person dead.
Agatha Aso is one among several other Nigerians that are bitter and disappointed in the poor healthcare system in Nigeria. She is convinced that if her husband had gotten the urgent attention required for his gunshot injury, he probably would have survived and be alive for her and their 3 children.
My husband was shot in my business place. I rushed him to emergency hospital at around Alagbaduye. They refer me that they don't have their daughter is not around. Went to like 3 hospitals. So the last one we went to, they were delaying.
Healthcare professionals are not left out in the trail of complaints as it relates to the quality of healthcare delivery in the country and how the situation has led to the movement of health workers in search for greener pastures.
No, on a daily basis, there is massive brain drain. Many of our doctors are leaving for tertiary institutions because of the wide salary disparity. Some are even leaving due to the poor working environment condition.
The government can do better in the area of provision of materials for health workers to use, in the areas of motivation.
We don't have enough hands to take care of the patient. The World Health Organization recommends that a nurse should take care of 4 patients. But in the situation now, in this country, you found out that we are taking care. A nurse is faced with a lot of patients. They are being overwhelmed with the patients.
Some of the health watchers are of the view that COVID-19 pandemic and its impact on society should be a good starting point and lesson for policymakers to be proactive when dealing with issues of healthcare.
The percentage voted for health in our budget is too small. We need to pay more attention. And we need to discourage our elders, our politicians from going abroad for medical treatment. It is not in the country's interest.
As we are struggling as a nation to meet up with the Sustainable Development Goal 3, there is need for us to review all that pertains to health sector in Nigeria.
World Health Day is celebrated 7th of April annually as designated by the United Nations and the World Health Organization to draw attention of people across the world to issues that border on global trending health matters. The theme for the 2022 celebration is Our Planet, Our Health.
The research is capable of improving a country's economic prosperity or a country's profile in the scientific area, and they're also capable of improving even our image when we start to do groundbreaking research that contributes to health security of the world.
Like water is to life, so is research to healthcare delivery in any society. Through research, information about disease trends, risk factors, outcome of treatment, public interventions, and lots more have helped people live longer, healthier lives. This is exactly what NIMR is doing for the nation's health sector and can do more if supported by governments at all levels, corporate organizations, and individuals.
If we have the needed support, Nigerians should expect breakthrough research that will contribute to our health, improve our health indices.
Watch NIMR at a glance on Health Affair on AIT. Support research.
In HIV, we've worked on generic drug. We've done clinical trials on generic drug. We've shown that generic drugs are very useful, and that was one of the reasons why Nigeria decided to be using generic drug to treat HIV patients. So we've contributed to a large extent on that. And we are also doing a lot of we are giving a lot of laboratory support to multi-drug resistant tuberculosis. We have a lab that does the diagnosis, and currently we are trying to look at the sequence of those variants to determine why some of those people have very severe disease and why they are being resistant. And our laboratories are well recognized by the WHO. We do kit testing for the West African submission for WHO. Anybody who brings any kits to Nigeria and wants WHO to use them or recognize them, they are sent to our lab and we work on them, we do trial on them and give WHO the report. And those reports are used to register those. We are pre-qualified. And if you look at WHO website, you will find our name there. We have an ISO recognized laboratory, which means we have our processes and quality control in the highest standard, and our results are comparable to such laboratories anywhere in the world. And we have two of our lab, our TB lab and our viral and genomic laboratories and chemistry lab at that level. Beyond that, during the COVID era, we participated in the pandemic control. We offered the people of Lagos State a free drive-through testing from March 2020 till now. We've tested over 46,000 individuals in Lagos State for free. Of course, from support from the federal government, the NCDC, and the good-spirited public people, many of who have contributed both in cash and kind to that drive-through. That's why the drive-through is still existing today.
Welcome back. Autism, cerebral palsy, and Down syndrome are among the increasing neurological disorders identified by medical experts as the leading cause of morbidity globally. Please listen to a special report to know the causes, the challenges of persons living with these disabilities, and lots more.
I had measles and chickenpox in quick succession. It was after the chickenpox that I noticed his attitude to people around him changed. He was hyperactive, jumping from one place to the other. Then people around didn't understand. I didn't understand because I've never seen a child like that before. That my child with autism is my fourth and last. So I know how a child should migrate from one stage to the other. During that process, people around, as he was growing up, people around thought I didn't train him well. Nobody wanted to understand that it was a special condition that made him behave the way he was behaving.
Mrs. Oritoke Alokun Olokun is a mother of a child with autism. She had her marriage broken and suffered so much due to societal ignorance about autism.
After a lot of hardship from my family, I had a broken home because of that child, because my husband and his side of family thought it was witchcraft, maybe organized by me, and I was suffering. I didn't see the reason why I should suffer and still continue to make my son sick. He had to send me packing, and from that time I have been looking after my son alone. I happen to be a hospital worker, a radiographer in the hospital. So when I noticed the changes, I took him to the hospital. But unfortunately, at the time, the doctors didn't know anything, I can say it again, about autism. Because right now, my boy is about 40, going to be 43. So you can imagine what the situation was in the medical sector at the time.
Like her, many other parents have one story or the other to tell about their children who have one neurological disability or the other.
I have a son who was born with cerebral palsy in 1996, so he'll be 26 years old this June. He's nonverbal, he's fully dependent, that means we still do everything for him because he has cerebral palsy. He's one of those you can say his situation is very bad, but at the same time we've been fortunate enough to manage him to such an extent that he's a fine looking young man, and we thank God for his impact that he's had on our life.
Autism, cerebral palsy, and Down syndrome were among the increasing neurological disorders identified by medical experts as the leading cause of morbidity.
Neurological disorders remain the leading cause of morbidity, and globally and nationally are a significant cause of mortality, cutting across communicable and non-communicable diseases.
It's not different. They're part of the same family of what you call neurodevelopmental disabilities, because it's all caused by some disturbance in the brain of the child, particularly either in the womb or during the birth process when there's a delay, and so the child does not get oxygen in time, or after birth when maybe the child has some illness like yellow fever and stuff like that, and it's not properly diagnosed or is treated with the wrong medication where the child reacts to it. With autism, the child is just not social. It does not interact with other children. It's withdrawn, and some of them have issues with noise, and so they really get cranky, really freak out when there's a lot of noise or some noise that they're not comfortable with, and it just goes on like that. So, cerebral palsy is very easy to know. Right from when they were born, the first thing is that they don't meet what we call developmental milestones. A child should be able to hold their neck steady after a couple of days. My son up till now, at 26, cannot hold his neck steady. Okay, then they drool because they cannot control their tongue, so they cannot swallow well. And then as they pass, let's say 4 or 5 years, there's stiffness in their limbs and all that. They start, because of the stiffness in the limbs, they start to develop body contortions. That means the body starts turning. Okay, some of them, depending on how they are affected, it even affects the face. So when they want to talk, you see them straining to do that. So by the time they are 8 to 10 years old, they are some level of deformity. Okay, so cerebral palsy is quite different from autism. It's about a chromosome during the formation of the child in the womb. In fact, now children with Down syndrome can be detected as early as 6 months pregnancy. And in the US, the system will even pay for you to terminate the pregnancy. But you still find parents who refuse to terminate the pregnancy and have the child that way. Now, what that does is that makes the child have some facial features. Some of them are very small. They usually have a little problem with their heart. And then as they grow, some of them tend to look alike, whether you're a Chinese child or American child, a South African child, a Nigerian child. They have these funny features in their face and so on. So Down syndrome can easily also be identified, and they also can be managed and possibly trained to have a good, quality of life as they grow. But one thing is that because, like I said, it's something to do with the brain, there are some children that actually exhibit 2 or 3 of the symptoms at the same time. Of course, one will be more prominent than added to the other ones. So you can have a child that has Down syndrome but is also autistic, or has AP and is also autistic, and so on and so forth.
We don't see a lot of it in the physical
presentation of the individual. So we would only see it maybe by the time the child is going to school. Let's take autism, for instance. Most of the time, it doesn't get noticed until the child is about 2. And then at 2, they'll say, oh, don't worry, it's delayed. Oh, it's late. And then we move on to 3. And then 4, oh, his learning is slow. Let's wait. And then we get to 10. And we are still dealing with some of these core challenges. Down syndrome may be easier because Down syndrome has a facial presentation. When you see a child with Down syndrome, the face is drawn. He has stubby fingers, large tongue, short ears. So some of the attributes you can see with a child with Down syndrome. But for a child that has intellectual developmental disability, it's very difficult for you to know.
The myths and spiritual connotations attributed to some of the disorders in the society remain a major challenge that has made life miserable for this group of persons and encouraged stigmatization. For instance, I met Abiodun Trombi, a 30-year-old student with autism. He told me how some of his mates despised him while he was in regular school due to his disability and inability to write.
Challenge is my handwriting. It means that when I was small, like the time when I was a little child, I have challenges with handwriting.
I had that initially when I started. There were a lot of advices. It's spiritual, take him to church, take him to this. But when you are enlightened, when you have knowledge, when you know what autism is, you will know is what can be used actually to get the best out of children with it.
And a lot of times they get neglected. They start looking at spiritual attacks and then stigma sets in. And stigma is plainly how the society views you. I mean, so we are the ones that define stigma. So it depends on the presentation that we're able to give to these individuals to make sure that we change the narrative.
Beyond the psychological trauma and stigmatization, the cost of caring for children with neurological disorders is another cause for concern.
A physiotherapist now will charge you an average of 10,000 naira for a 1-hour visit. We do 3 a week. Okay, so just try and imagine what that costs. Some people can't even afford it.
Tough for most people, especially financially. Everything that pertains to autism, be it therapy or whatever option you decide to take, to manage the diagnosis, is always expensive. For most parents, they struggle through it because of lack of finances. But apart from that, we're also in a country where we lack the resources to actually take care of these children. So a lot of times parents are left on their own to just scramble around and do the best that they can. For our therapists here, I think a lot of them are trying their best, but for the most part, government hasn't really done anything in trying to give them the necessary help that they need.
Despite the numerous challenges presented so far about persons with the outlined neurological disorders, it is not totally a sad situation, as many of them have a positive side to life and thrive in creativity.
I'm happy. We're happy. I like my painting. I like playing music.
These works are like my family values. These works are my beauty. These works show me who I am because I like who I am. This is my beauty, and I'm Daniel Cooley.
My advice to parents living with children with special needs: 1, you get your own language. 2, be patient. And 3, it is not your fault. I've seen many parents get weighed down because they think it's their fault, something they did that made their children, become this or become that. It is not your fault. It is what it is. Embrace it, learn. She has taught me to overcome my challenges and be the best I could be. And she's the most emotional, sociable, empathic person you can even come across. She's the most organized amongst all her siblings. She keeps to her routine. She doesn't deviate. She's the one that sticks to homework routine. And then, is autism actually a disease? I'm still asking. She cannot tell a lie. She can't. She's transparent. She's so open.
Like every other person, some persons living with autism, cerebral palsy, and Down syndrome do have plans. They get married and have children.
No child is useless. As far as society, as far human beings are concerned, what they need to do is to study their children very well, and whatever the children are doing, they need to encourage them. But what society are doing now is that they abuse children. Children abuse. No child is useless. What they need to do is just to discover their gift or their talent, and they build it up, like what we are seeing today.
Find out what that child can do. And in arts, creativity is an expression. So that is their own way of expressing themselves. Also in music, music is like, it helps the soul. It helps calm you down. It gives them peace. So you find a lot of them turning towards music. So art is just an expression of what they feel and who they see. No judgment at all. And that is the way art brings out the beauty and creativity in our children on the spectrum. Sometimes they have children that look like them, sometimes they don't. Most times they don't. They have typical children. And they do get married. Yes. It has a bit of genetic connotation in it. It doesn't mean that it's for all of them. Some of them do. Some of them is hereditary. For some it's not. It's simply environmental. And it could be accident anywhere along the line. You know, just like you and I can have accident and become disabled at some point in time in our lives, you will never know that myth. You know, we all pray that it doesn't happen to us, but if it happens, that means your life changes overnight. And those are some of the things we keep educating the public about. It is not the end of the road. I'm telling you, difficulty, disability, difference, neurodiversity, whatever you call it, is not the end of the road. It's the beginning of a journey, a road that you must take with patience, with love, with acceptance, with adherence.
I hope that everyone watching this report out there will truly understand that no one is useless and that indeed there is ability in disability. Just joining us is Etafe on AIT. Next on the program is a nutrition segment, an aspect of the program where we'll give you information about food, fruits, and their nutritional value to enable you make healthy choices.
Jute or salad leaves, popularly called ewedu among the Yorubas, is a prominent vegetable in West Africa, rich in sustenance, possessing other medical advantages. Ewedu leaf is low in calories, high in vitamins and minerals, an adequate source of fiber, helpful in dealing with weight management, and may also promote intestinal health by helping with bowel movement. Ewedu leaves contains the antioxidant trio of vitamins A, C, and E, which fends off free radicals, thereby protecting the body from degenerative diseases, boosts immunity, and nourishing the body. The leaf is used to prepare the popular Ewedu soup, mostly eaten with amala.
Please come with me to our clinical segment for tips on healthy living. On our perception segment, we appreciate your contributions on how to improve human lives and the nation's health sector.
Teaching hospitals are called teaching hospitals because you have a lot of specialties. You have a lot of consultants within the hospital. But once you don't have this set of people, it becomes a normal hospital. So you don't have specialists, you don't have a urologist, you don't have a neurosurgeon. And whether we like it or not, we are all aware that our good hands are leaving the country. As a matter of fact, the best brains are leaving the country. And if this continues, we can all add 1 and 1 together. And we'll definitely know that at some point we'll have dearth of specialists, and the masses, unfortunately, would suffer for it.
This is where we draw the curtain on the program this week. Thanks for spending your time with us. Please endeavor to join us same time next week for another interesting edition of the program. My name is Ushuomowa Daniels. Please keep staying safe.